Well, here we are. It's Friday, and it's the 13th stage of the Cannonball. Lucky 13, we'll see. We have a worn-out exhaust valve, which we cured last night, borrowing a Norton exhaust valve from Big D Cycles in Dallas, who are along supporting 3 Nortons, and turns out a vintage Norton, like a 1920s Norton exhaust valve, is pretty close to a Jap engine exhaust valve, except the outer diameter was a little small, so the boys at Big D bronze welded the outside, and Stefan used their lathe and shaped it, and we've got the valve in the cylinder head, which Chris put back together last night. Looks pretty good, except some of the threads on the engine studs that hold the cylinder head in are kind of buggered. And Chris has been dressing them, as we say, and cleaning out the threads so that it doesn't all fly off the next time we're doing 110 miles an hour, which will be never, because these forks are reproduction Castle forks, and we don't know who made them, but we don't like them right now, because if you take a close look right here, the forks are broken there and about to be broken there. Now, had those broken clean through, I would be in the hospital right now, at best. So that's an extremely dangerous situation, and I'm pretty pissed, to say the least, because I don't like risking my life unnecessarily. I like to choose my life risks, let's just put it that way. So, Chris is mic'd up, so.
Yeah, so it was a long night last night trying to get the cylinder head repaired. Things are going well. We're ready to put the engine back together. Then I think it's been a short day in the truck so we could get to our next stop and get to work on the bike. So our goal is to, Stefan's gonna work on sorting out this front end, and we're gonna weld it up and see what happens.
Yeah, this is beyond my ken, dealing with an issue like this. This is when I call a specialist. I can bodge together anything about a motor and a gearbox and whatever, but when you've got to weld tubing together that your life depends on, that's beyond my skill. So I'm glad we have specialists.
Yeah, this is the realities of the Cannonball. There's been another motorcycle that had a front end failure, and actually another Castle fork broke as well, but that was during a crash impact.
Yeah, no, there was, I just heard there were, well, there have been 2 total fork failures. One of the bottom links broke on a Henderson from Bramwell's, and that sent him tumbling. And then we just heard of one today, also a fork broke. We don't know what kind of bike it was, but it also sent them tumbling. So,
oh wow,
unfortunate. But all these bikes are at least 90 years old. But ironically, these forks have less than 4,000 miles on them, so I can't forgive them as easily as if they were ancient. So hopefully we can make them stronger than they were built, because this should be a forging here, and it's actually a tubing that's welded to another piece of tubing or something that was carved. We don't even know yet, but we're thinking we can strengthen it internally. So, Stefan, tell us about
situation
these forks.
Normal. These forks are not happy, and I think the issue is that there's a transition from this section of material, which who knows how they formed or made this, but it appears that it transitions to a piece of just general tubing pipe, whatever. This is probably like gas pipe from India or something. And you can even see that where this broke through, there's just terrible weld penetration. And you can even see on this side where the weld had been blended out.
Yeah.
And it's just not quality work. And combining that with the way that this fork operates, all the spring reaction goes into this piece here with these slides that I just removed, and that causes a torque. So this section is always being bent. We would have expected the forks to fail here from a braking load, but as we've already discussed, this bike has virtually no front brake. Although it's present, it just is not functional in a meaningful way.
Or even deflection from road bumps. You know,
exactly.
Forks naturally waggle back and forth.
So most common failures are going to be just below the lower triple, but to see one up here was really weird, and it took us a minute to figure out why. And the reason is weld from fabrication, and then also the introduction of this reciprocating bending load up here is just really not good for fatigue. And I rode the bike the day before you, and I know that there were a few times I was going quite quickly, and I'm extremely glad that luck was on our side.
That I was riding it when it broke? Thanks!
No, that luck was on our side, and this didn't fail completely while we were out ripping around.
Yeah.
Now, the repair process is going to be a bit tricky. In fact, I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be yet, but I think we need to make a jig to orient and relate all these key points so we can keep it all straight and square. And then we'll also need to grind some type of an insert slug here so we've got a good backing, and we can put a good bevel in and lay a bunch of TIG weld. Fortunately, there's someone in the parking lot that has a TIG welder, and we'll get on with trying to put it back on the road.
Make it better, make it stronger.
Always. That's what we do at Revival. So, how many stages do we have left? 2 more?
Dos más.
All right.
We're going to go to the Dalles tomorrow and then to Portland the next day.
Besides, I mean, if we weren't doing this, what else would we be doing? Sitting in our hotel rooms, surfing Instagram, and watching movies? This is way more fun.
It's certainly more involving.
So, yeah, situation normal. This is kind of what we expect on the Cannonball, and I honestly would be a little disappointed if we didn't have something difficult. I maybe would appreciate something slightly less difficult, but we take what we get.
I would appreciate something slightly less lethal. I was
That's true.
expecting, number 1, gearbox failure, because the gearbox is the oldest part of that motorcycle.
And then number 2, primary, would have been the next best guess.
Primary,
and then 3 would be tires and all of that
I was
nonsense.
most worried about tires. I wasn't worried about the forks, but yeah, there you go. The thing you don't expect.
And
it's
also,
always waiting.
A great reminder that you really don't know what's underneath the paint. So who knows who did the work, who knows who built the stuff. If you aren't dealing with a reputable shop with a long-standing reputation, good luck.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to hide.
I asked the manufacturer and haven't heard back yet.
Well, hopefully they learned something. All right, well, I'm gonna get back to work. We've got plenty to do, so hope for the best.
Stage 13.